Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello, everybody at home, and welcome to Houselights, House of Reynolds. That's right, we are starting our look into the works of Kevin Reynolds. Now, this isn't exactly a household name, and some of you may be scratching your heads as to what he has done. But the thing is, you've seen his movies. Like, Kevin Reynolds is one of those unsung heroes of cinema, where he has done some good works and he's done some not good works, but his movies have definitely made a splash one way or another, I think is a good way to put it. And so we're, in this show, before I introduce my co-host and my best good friends, this show usually has some rules about who we pick and how we pick them. We'll usually, like, if we can, we'll do an entire, breadth of works, like from Fincher and Nolan. We've done everything of Wes Anderson. Or if we do somebody a little bit, who has a really long filmography, we'll just do a decade. I think Spielberg, we chose his underappreciated works, stuff that nobody ever really talks about.
One per decade, because it was
one per decade. And so we try to have some rules. With Kevin Reynolds, that all went out the window, and we're like, you know what? This is our show. We're just going to pick the ones we want to watch and talk about.
There we go.
So, Darren Moser, aka Dr. Sci-Fi, can you tell us what films we're going to be doing for the next 4 weeks?
All right. We're going to start out with the 1991 classic Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which spawned many a spin-off homage, as it were, from many other directors. Then we're going to jump to 1995 with Waterworld, but it is the Ulysses cut, a special underground, smuggled out of the depths cut that was not released in shape for man or beast. And then we're going to O2, The Count of Monte Cristo, amazing, with Edmond Dantes, and wrapping it up by jumping a decade to 2016 with Risen. So I think these four films are really kind of the breadth of his career, and I think we're going to still be able to see how does his directing change, when he's got a big budget, a little budget, when it does really well financially, when it doesn't. So I think at its core, it couldn't even be more Houselights.
You know what, Darren? What a great way to look at it, because we're going from 91 to 2016. That's a huge chunk of somebody's career. That's a big time span. I'm really glad that we're doing this, because these are some movies, all four of these movies, I've really wanted to talk about. Now, John.
Yes.
Also known as John Mills, a.k.a. Kessel Junkie.
From time to time.
When was the first time you saw Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves? What were you doing?
Now, see, this isn't fair, because we all know I'm the old man of the podcast. And so I have a few years on you guys, lots of experience, more wisdom, those sorts of things.
And you just celebrated your 75th birthday.
76th, young man, please.
Oh,
I'm proud of every year. If you cut me in half, you can count my age through rings like a tree. And so I saw this movie just as anybody would expect in 1991 if you're in high school with a girl. And she actually, it was the first time during a movie where I ever encountered the life hack of her saying, well, you can drink your soda through a Twizzler as if it's a straw. And I went, go on. And she demonstrated. And I said, this is a wonderful invention. Thank you for sharing. And may I subscribe to your newsletter?
Were you stoked to see Kevin Costner's Robin Hood?
No.
Was it just a Robin Hood thing, or was it just an action movie? Was it an Alan Rickman movie?
Everybody was going to see this, and I was excited because I was like, Alan Rickman and Morgan Freeman. I like both of those people. And Kevin Costner, I was like, yeah, he's not bad. Sure. Like, I was not there for Kevin Costner. He was not the draw for me.
Gotcha.
It was the supporting cast is really what I was interested in. But I'll also cop to this, that at that time in my life, I was much less critical of movies. It was simply a thumbs up or a thumbs down. There was no nuance to my views of it. It was simply, did see movie, did hate movie? No, then good. That sort of vibe.
Now, Darren, how about you? What did you know about this film? Were you excited about it? Tell us what you were feeling.
Well, I definitely wasn't seeing it in 1991. This was definitely this was a blockbuster rental, like many a movie. And yeah, I mean, but see, I remember being raised on a lot of the classics as well. So I think I'd already seen The Adventures of Robin Hood with Errol Flynn before this one. And I mean, there's been many Robin Hood stories, but as far as what is known, yeah, yeah, well, that's true. And the Disney version, there, I think besides the Disney version in the I want to say 60s, and Errol Flynn, this is kind of like the third like large, popular, well-known Robin Hood. And yeah, I remember I had seen I don't know if I'd actually seen the trailer, but I'd heard the music because the studio used it under their, pop in another VHS tape and it's like coming soon from Warner Brothers. And it was like, and then it's just playing the intro to Robin Hood over and over because it was a great piece of music. It almost kind of felt let down just with the normal tapestry intro. I'm like, it's like it should be more for what we're getting in this musical cue. But no, so this was a blockbuster rental, and yeah, again, like John said, this was a big movie. It's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I'm going to try really hard to give it the right name this entire podcast and not slip up and call it something else. But yeah, so I remember renting it. We took it home, and there's everyone's giggling over the Costner butt because that was the big thing to giggle over at the time. But it's great. It's a really good movie. And like again, echoing what John said, it's got a really good cast overall, and it's 91, so there's not a drop of CGI in it. It's okay. There's an arrow shot or two, but
Okay.
if you want to talk about practicality versus non-practicality, it's like in the high 90s of practicality.
Yes, of course.
I will say that that's true. That arrow shot really held up well from 1991.
You could see the matte lines
yeah.
around the edging.
The better one is during the big climactic battle at the end when they had this in, and it really looked like they trimmed the shot down to as tight as they could, where when he shoots the noose line.
Oh, the hangman rope. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like that shot lasts like 0.75 seconds, where like you have a feeling like the shot was like
At
1.5 seconds.
That was a
like,
side
how tight
shot.
can we trim this? Yeah.
It was going sideways. The perspective, I don't think they were ready for it in 91, but
they used the hell out of it in the commercials. That was
true.
all over the commercials
at
the time. That was supposed to be like a big selling point for it.
Man, that the hero shot with the fire behind him.
Oh,
where he's like shooting an arrow, a fire arrow.
Yeah, and all the fire. Yes,
that was like they put that on the poster. They put it in the trailers. They had it all over the marketing materials. And even when I watched it, even though I've seen this dozens of times, when I watched it in preparation for the podcast, I still went, man, that's cool. Like it's just like Reynolds shot it at 300 frames per second.
Wow,
to get that super, super, super slow motion.
But that's the thing is this version that was I the only one that watched I wasn't the only one who watched the extended version this time,
I watched
right?
the extended as well. That's what
I
was
watched
available.
The extended for the first time.
Because this is my first time watching the extended version, and so afterward.
And the reason why we all watch this is because it's as close to the director's vision as possible.
It's been so long, I couldn't have told you what was new. Like I can tell you. Well, I'm sure you will, but yes, I couldn't tell. But yeah, it had been long enough that I couldn't recall of like, oh, this shot feels new and different, because obviously it wasn't a director's cut, as in we're going to completely change the movie. It's more like I want to put back more in of what I had to take out.
Yeah, the main like there's kind of a storied history, and this is super surprising that Reynolds and Costner actually got together again for Waterworld, because they did not get along on set with Prince of Thieves. Kevin Costner was a producer on this film. He helped get it off the ground, and Reynolds and him clash over creative differences, like hardcore on set and in post production. It got to the point where Kevin Costner and his producers literally locked the editor out of the editing suite so that they could do their own cut, and Reynolds was banished from the edit. But
Wow.
under DGA rules, they had to show Reynolds the final cut, even though he had no influence over it. And Reynolds was not happy because his version was much closer to the extended version. There's even more that's on a cutting room floor than what's in the extended version. And Reynolds was just happy that the extended version came out. But they were so upset with each other. It's super surprising that they did Waterworld together, and they got pissed at each other about that one too. And then
They
they
must
did
have
a
been
third
some
project
sort of
together.
contractual thing that they couldn't get out of. I don't know what
Well,
that story is.
No, listen, people who basically like an artistic collaboration can start out really great and really strong, and but the two people should never get out of the pitch stage with each other, sort of thing, because they're very strong personalities. And I would, as an example, point to Meatloaf and Jim Steinman. And they did Bat Out of Hell together, and then egos get in the way and all of this stuff, and they have a huge falling out, and then they get back together, and magic happens again with Bat Out of Hell 2, which is basically Meatloaf re-recording several songs that Steinman had released and had failed with in the 80s. But there were other tracks on there as well. And I remember at the time that when they're having the great success with Bat Out of Hell 2, an interview with Meatloaf where they basically said, well, you guys fight all the time. Why did you come back together? And he said, we're kind of like a married couple where we're going to have our fights and we're going to come back because we do have so much in common. So I really wonder if that's sort of at the core of Costner and Reynolds, where it's like they line up on...
You need an opposition force, something that's saying, oh, that awesome thing you just described to me, that's not going to work. That's totally not the right tone. And then they're like, oh, you're right, but I'm not happy that you're right. Again, you look back at Lucas and the originals, and he had those opposition forces of, budget and other constraints, and that I think produced a superior product.
Well, it's one of those things as well where ultimately you can say, oh, well, we're like a married couple, but if you're not actually, like, the whole point of marriage is to make it more difficult to break up, right? And if you're working with somebody on a film and you're the executive producer,
that is the only point of marriage, John. That is it.
No. See, yeah, okay. Listen, laugh all that you want to.
Darren and I just looked at each other like,
laugh.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, okay. Right. The point of marriage
John,
is for you to shoot arrows and
make it more difficult. Yeah. It's right there.
Look,
sorry.
Yeah.
Point of marriage is to get the hero shot, man.
Yeah, the point of marriage is to shoot an arrow and save Maid Marian from a black mass at the end. Yes, that's it. Yes, and everybody's all happy and rides off to Bryan Adams at the end. No, I mean, it's like, but basically what I'm saying is that when you have those strong personalities and you have something where one of them can win easily, Costner in this case, you're inevitably going to have an uncomfortable conflict at the end where somebody gets locked out, and it's like a divorce where somebody just has, the better lawyers or something like that. And it's just like, Waterworld will be an interesting one to talk about as well.
No, I think that's a really fair comparison, and I love the Meatloaf analogy there. I think that's great. Now, one thing, have either of you guys seen the Patrick Bergen Robin Hood that came out the same year?
No, I didn't even know it existed.
No, Uma Thurman plays Maid Marian. Jurgen Prochnow plays Sir Miles. Edward Fox is in it. I can never pronounce his name. Jerome Krabbe.
So is
Barry
this
Stanton.
A Armageddon / Deep Impact vibe in '91, basically?
This is an Armageddon Deep Impact thing. But the thing is, though, is that they knew they would not be able to compete with Prince of Thieves, so it was direct to TV. Like, it was planned on being
didn't
that.
Even, but they just
yeah, they called an audible and they're like, crap. And so they went direct to TV. It was supposed to be a theatrical release. It's pretty good. I mean, if I remember correctly, it's been a long time, but it was directed by John Irvin, and it's got some good qualities to it. It's got a really great cast, and everyone should check it out. It's just called straight up Robin Hood. Came out same year.
That's so fascinating because that then, if you want to draw other comparisons, that's like Tombstone versus Wyatt Earp, which is a tussle that Costner gets involved in later in the decade. And then you have, Deep Impact and that was
Armageddon
Armageddon. And then you have Volcano and Dante's Peak and everything like that. It's so
and Slug
wild.
Life.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that too. It's so fascinating to me though, because now I really want to see that because like I'm just used to the idea that the other person just says, "Screw it, we'll just release 6 months later," and see if the kids will still go see it. That's wild.
So speaking of the cast in the Bergen Affair, this one is no slouch either, which we've talked about a little bit. We got Kevin Costner as Robin of Locksley, Morgan Freeman as Azim, Mary Elizabeth help me, John.
Master Antonio.
As Marion, Christian Slater as Will Scarlet, Alan Rickman as Nottingham, Geraldine McEwen as Mortiana, Michael McShane as Friar Tuck, Brian Blessed for like 2 minutes of Lord Locksley,
Oh,
which was
I
such
love
yeah.
that. I was like, what was it? Flash!
Yeah.
Go after you. She's so good.
and don't forget Boss Nass from The Phantom Menace.
That's
Yes,
right.
That's right. How could I?
And of course, the man who gets no credit ever in his movies, but helps sell them, Michael Wincott.
Oh, that dude. Yes, you're absolutely. Thank you for calling out Michael Wincott because, especially in the early to mid '90s, that guy was a staple of the bad guy coterie. And
Yeah.
man, he's such a great screen presence.
And
Absolutely,
on this
a great
one,
screen
he's
presence.
kind of like channeling like a Denethor kind of look, like that slicked back, super long hair, like really matty. And
Yeah.
I also loved, and I think you already mentioned it, but like Nick Brimble as Little John. He is that man of the mountain, like every Disney movie from the 80s. And like, that is that look. Even if it wasn't him, like he just walked out and you're like, oh, that's Little John. Like I hope he showed up for like audition like that, looking just like that with that full face of hair and beard.
You see
Because
him,
it was
you
perfect.
absolutely believe that he lives in
totally.
Sherwood Forest.
And I believe that that's his wife, and he's got 8 kids. I believe it all.
Yeah. And going back to Michael Wincott, like I kind of feel like there's like this trifecta of him being an awesome bad guy with this one, Prince of Thieves, the Three Musketeers, and Count of Monte Cristo, which we're going to review in a couple of weeks. Like he is a fantastic bad guy in all of those. And
you forgot The Crow. Also,
I totally forgot The Crow. You're right, man. Oh, I don't actually
top dollar.
Wait, what year was Count of Monte Cristo? We even talked about it. That might not have been
2000s.
Yeah. So never mind. So replace Count of Monte Cristo with Crow for the night.
Yeah, Monte Cristo was 02.
02, I thought that was right. Okay. So let's talk about Alan Rickman for a little bit. We'll get to Morgan Freeman. We'll get to Kevin Costner. But we need to talk about Alan Rickman because when people think about this film, yeah, they say, oh, it's the Kevin Costner one. But really,
it's the Alan Rickman as the Sheriff of Nottingham one.
It's the Alan Rickman one.
Yeah.
Now, Darren, what do you think about Rickman's performance in this?
I mean, I think it's really good. It does feel like a young Rickman, not so much as his age, but as looking at where his career went and the deeper roles and the nuance he plays as the, Dr. Lazarus kind of character in Galaxy Quest. I know, a weird one to pick, but I'm just saying I don't see this age Rickman being able to do that. He's still very kind of like all over the place. Like he's giving a great performance, but you can tell like there's some improv, which again isn't bad. It's just, that's part of this role. But he's just a scene chewing villain who's just loving being this bad guy. And the look, the black hair, and just this weird side plot with the hag that's his mom, that's his like. It's kind of weird, but it's funny.
I want to talk about the improv a little bit just because you touched on it. Apparently, a lot of his performance was improvisation. I should say pseudo improvisation, because what he did was he got the script. Actually, no, they asked him 2 times to be in it, and he said no both times. He's like, I don't like this script. Like this, I'm not going to do this movie.
Can't blame him.
And they went to Sam Neill, I think, to play Nottingham, and they went to somebody else, and I can't remember. And then they finally came back to him, and they said, and the director said, "Listen, okay, please do this role. If you do this role, I'll let you have more control over your character." He's like, "Fine, done." And so he took the script, and he went to some friends of his that were stand-up comedians.
Ruby Wax and Peter Barnes to punch
Exactly.
it up. Yeah.
They did some punch-up work together. They sat down at a pizza place and did some punch-up, and then so he took that and ran with it on set. And he told the director, he said, he's like, "This is the kind of stuff that I'm going to do." He's like, "I'm not going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do, but this is kind of the direction that I'm going in." So it wasn't like he was just going AWOL or anything like that. Like
No.
he's he was still a professional, but
he's
Kevin
going to put
Reynolds
across something
specifically
so good that they're going to want to keep it in because it's so good.
Exactly. In order to do that, Kevin Reynolds didn't tell Kevin Costner or the producers that he was going to do it, to make it seem like it was more off the cuff, so that it would be like, "Oh my God, you just came up with that? It was brilliant." And so much of what you see in this movie of him, which, like, the spoon thing was all him, and it was so funny that they wrote on the spot, like, Michael Wincott saying, "Why a spoon, cousin?" Like, what? Like, why
Right.
not?
There's
an
like a
axe
follow
or
up
a
to that
knife?
joke that actually happens like 3 scenes later.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like that's how good it was. And like the whole like you coming to my room at 10:30, you at 11, bring a friend. Like that was all him. And like when they're shooting the fire arrows and he's like picking his teeth again, that was all him. Like so much of these moments in this movie is just Alan Rickman just trying to be better, just trying to make this movie better, and he absolutely succeeds, because I have no idea what this movie does without him. John, what do you think?
I think that this is all fair praise. I think this is all correct in praising Rickman, who, yeah, I mean, an entire, there are generations, multiple generations that will always love Alan Rickman, and fortunately always re-encounter him through Die Hard and other performances of his. But I think that his performance underscores exactly what he didn't like about the script initially, and what I still don't like about the script, and what I don't like about the fact that he, at times, I'll exclude Freeman from this, because Freeman is taking the script and he's working with it. He's
doing the work. Yeah.
He understands what trajectory his career is on at this point, because I think it was Lean on Me came out late 80s at some point, where he played, they used to call me Crazy Joe, now they can call me the Batman, right? That's his big splash on the scene. Like, that's, people start to know his name. So he's on the big swing upward here with his career. And so Freeman shows up, and he is, like you said, he's doing the work. But when you look at Freeman, and then especially when you look at Rickman, everybody else, the only word I can really attach at times is joyless. These are people who showed up and performed. These are not people who showed up with a lot of happiness and energy and excitement for what they were doing. The flattest of them being Costner.
Which is so insane. Which is crazy to me, because he's a producer on this film. He wanted to do this. He got the project off the ground, and then he doesn't show up on camera.
I think that there is a tremendous sense, rewatching it now for the first time in quite a while, of, with all of the producing role, with all of the producing chores, with all of the weight, with all of the expectation, I think what comes through in Costner's performance is he's very aware of what a misstep this could be, and he's second guessing everything that he does. The realest and most enjoyable moments with Costner are things like when he does that spontaneous spin on the wall, where he's having you see him spinning around, or like there's one time where he flips backwards off of a tree or something like that. If you go back to an 80s movie called Silverado,
that's a great movie.
But that's the Costner I see in those little tiny moments. That's the guy that's trying to peek through here. But what I see mainly is, a man with a lot of responsibilities show up on set. And the unfortunate thing is, it makes Rickman look even better to Costner's detriment, because Rickman appears to be having a good time. And I don't think that everybody else appears to be having a good time in this movie.
Yeah,
The
Rickman
rumor-
has a
go
different
ahead.
different vibe. You can, I think like you said, like having a good time, you can tell that he's going to be a giant presence in any scene that he's in. Not like overshadowing, but like, when he's going up and down the stairs, he's doing it with flourish and conviction. Like, and that's very different than any of the other, actors. One question I just wanted to ping to you guys. I don't have anything that documents this, but when you mentioned that there was another Robin Hood movie coming out that was almost going to go head to head to this, my instinct gut, again, nothing to back this up, is that they wanted to call this Robin Hood, but changed it to Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, worrying about confusion if it's going up against another Robin Hood. Just because usually don't movies want to be like the simplest of titles? Like you usually don't want to add like a secondary, Robin Hood, the time he saved Maid Marian or something like that. So again, this is just a guess, but my guess is that they wanted to just call it Robin Hood and stop, and then ended up because Prince of Thieves, like it is an interesting subline, of like I mean, it's not men in tights, but
no, I
get what you're saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there, because usually the colon and then second part of the title was reserved for things like Star Trek VI. By this point, you didn't really have a lot of that type of thing with movie titles that I can recall. I'm sure that somebody can come out of the bleachers and tell me how wrong I am or something like that.
I'm with you. I can't think of that too often. I mean, it's even if there are exceptions, it's a rare exception. John, I think there has to be something to what you're saying, because we all know Kevin Costner can act, whether you like it or not, whether you like him or not, is immaterial. He can act. He's a movie star. He does well. He knows what he's doing. But this is a young producer, I think, who is probably biting off more than he can chew behind the camera, and it's affecting his performance in front of the camera. That's my guess, because it's so strange to me to watch this today, seeing stuff like Silverado and Bull Durham and the stuff that came before, where you like he's good at what he's doing, but it's so lifeless. It's so, when he speaks, you're like, I don't believe what you're saying. It's like you said, it feels joyless. It feels like he's going through the motions when Alan Rickman and Morgan Freeman are showing up and doing the work. I mean, and on top of that, Brian Blessed and Nick Bremble and Michael Wincott, like they're all there doing the work. Having even Geraldine McEwen. Now, Darren, you talked about Rickman kind of upstaging Costner. The rumor is, and it's a rumor I don't believe, the rumor is that part of the reason why the theatrical cut is the way that it is because most of the stuff that got cut and thus was added in the extended edition was scenes with Alan Rickman. And the rumor is that Costner was jealous of how well Rickman was doing and tried to make it more of the Robin Hood show than Nottingham. I don't believe that at all, because watching the theatrical edition and the extended edition, with the extended edition mainly being Nottingham stuff being put in, you absolutely 100% don't need that extra Nottingham stuff. Like, you do not need it. And a good editor and a good producer knows that. Like, I mean, I hate to start off our House of Reynolds this way, but there's a reason why you have producers, and there's a reason why producers get the Oscar for Best Picture and not the director. And this is one of those reasons where you're like, hey, this is your baby. You're really close to it. You want to put in everything that you thought you wanted to put in, but here is a much more marketable piece. And speaking of which, the theatrical edition that came out in 91 had a $48 million budget and ended up earning $390.5 million worldwide. Without marketing included, that's a 15-time return. And adjusted for inflation, that's over $800 million today for today's dollars.
Oh yeah, you could tell this did amazingly well. But yeah, I also, I had to look it up because on the surface level on Wikipedia, it doesn't say that Costner is a producer. But I'm like, oh, I believe them. I'm pretty sure. And so I looked up on Costner's page, and it does indicate that he was a producer as well. But I was looking again at his filmography, and I'm like, wait, so how long does it take to make a movie? Because he was like in triple production of Dances with Wolves, Robin Hood, and JFK, like back to back to back to back. Like, so I think, I think you can kind of see that a little bit in this movie of they're kind of starting the ball rolling, but maybe the script isn't totally locked down and they have to, and a lot of it's outside. So you're beholden to the weather a lot. And you're shooting in a very compressed time frame, and that can easily spell doom for a movie, but it kind of is getting that vibes. What do you think, John?
Well, I think you hit it right there. I think that ultimately, and Costner's performance becomes our northern star, our true north on this, with that compressed timeline. Dances with Wolves, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, JFK. Something had to give. Dances with Wolves, tremendous artistic success. Costner becomes a respected director. He becomes a respected actor. It's a movie that makes a cultural impact at the time.
But he's already in producing for this while that's coming out, and he's becoming that household name.
But you're also on the way to JFK, which is Oliver Stone's massive JFK assassination conspiracy theory. And Stone is a name at this point. And Stone demands a lot of his performers. I think if something's got to give, it's going to be your performance. I think, if anything, the smartest possible thing that Costner could have done is excuse himself from this production. Ego, money, all of those things would prevent that from happening. Warner Brothers would have balked. The entire production would have been shuttered. Nobody would have had anything to do with it. But it would have been the smartest thing for him to do, because if I look at Dances with Wolves and then I look at JFK, that's Kevin Costner. I'm like, that's why that guy gets a paycheck. And this, I'm like,
maybe that there was a moment of that. Maybe there was a moment of, maybe you need to step away, Kevin. But he's like, if I walk this movie's got all these people that are making a movie right now, like, it's gone. They're all jobless tomorrow. So I'd rather phone it in a little bit in this in-between movie and still, turn out something that still made money.
I mean, that's the thing, is that, like, we're complaining about his performance, because this movie made so much money. This was a cultural touchstone for a big reason. Like, everybody was talking about this movie. The Bryan Adams song was all over the radio. The toys sold like crazy. This was a huge rental when it came out on VHS. This was one of the first movies that you could that went straight to buy on VHS. Like, most of the time it was you would go to a rental house where you could rent the movie
TV for a little bit, like first, usually like on cable or whatever, and then renting and then buying.
But yeah, this one went straight to, like, no, you can own this. You can own this today for $12.99. But the thing is, John, I think you're absolutely right, because, he gave his heart and soul into Dances with Wolves. He created a production company just so he could make Dances with Wolves. He directed, starred, and produced it. And he pulled a Mel Gibson, and then he goes right into JFK and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I mean, it's just, he had to have been absolutely exhausted.
This winds up being one of those things, though, because 91, it's such an interesting play as well, because there's no way Warner Brothers wants to back down from this, because 91 was the summer of Terminator 2. And if you follow traditional studio thinking, we got to get competition up there. We got to make it out there. We got to get things done. So there's the added if this movie had been a flop, if this had gone the Last Action Hero versus Jurassic Park route, show's over. Like, it's a career ender sort of thing. The fact that it is successful, I think, is a testament to the fact that, one, while we're sitting here complaining about these things, audiences in general at the time enjoyed the flick. They had a good time. It was escapist entertainment. They weren't expecting high art when they saw Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. They wanted a date movie where they could go and look, the swashbuckling hero. This is an updated version of Errol Flynn. He's going to show up. He's going to get the damsel in distress. And look, we're going to try to be a little more, worldly and culturally aware, where it's like, okay, well, we're going to bring in somebody from the Middle East played by Morgan Freeman, who's going to give service to that. When the first time we meet Maid Marian, she's a badass fighter. And the sheriff of Nottingham
I felt that.
is an incompetent boob. And we're really going to lean into what an incompetent idiot he is. And he's surrounded by fools, sort of thing. And then, like, it gets the job done in terms of what an audience typically looks for. I always go back when I watch something like this, and I'm starting to be super critical. I always go back to that one car ride I had with my wife, where she said to me, I'll never forget, "Can't you just watch movies like a normal person?" And every so often I'll be watching something like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves nowadays, and I'll start to go down a certain road and I'll hear her voice echo like Obi-Wan while Luke is flying his X-Wings. Like, can't you just watch movies like a normal person? And I'm like, it's true. It's much more enjoyable when I do that. So for all of the complaints I might have about this, especially in the summer of Terminator 2, it did what Warner Brothers needed it to do, which was it put butts in the seats and it generated receipts. So,
So, butts in the seats. Some of those butts were family members. Like, it wasn't just a date movie. Like, in the marketing, it was very much targeted towards family. Like, this was a family fun adventure. And there was some
PG-13.
This was PG-13. It was
Okay.
almost PG.
It's got
I think
a bit of blood, and
it was
really weird stuff.
There was some weirdness going on, like with the international release, where like it was PG in the UK, it was PG-13 here, but they had to cut some stuff in the UK. Like, there was some weird controversy between, is it PG, is it PG-13, what's going on? This is very much not a PG film. And even though it was rated PG-13, the marketing made you think it was kind of a family fun adventure. Now, there's witchcraft in it. There's
devil worship. There's
devil worship. There's hangings.
There's a straight up
rape.
There's a straight up inverted cross over an altar. Like, that's like next level imagery right there. That's iconography. That's really unsettling.
Which I think is the funniest thing, where he's like, it could go either way.
That was not in the theatrical cut. That's in the extended edition.
Oh, okay. I like that moment. It's pretty funny.
But as I just mentioned, above all, there's an extended attempted rape that's played for laughs at one point. And it's one of those things where you're like, good Lord, thank goodness that wouldn't fly today. Like, there's certain things that are just like, oof, okay, I'm glad that we're not doing that right now.
See, I think that there's one shot that you can cut from that where it doesn't come across with the same sense of quote unquote playing for laughs.
Yes,
it has to do
I know
with
exactly what shot you're talking about.
You cut that one shot, and you don't have that moment. Trust me when I say, even back in '91, people saw that shot and everybody was like,
oh, absolutely.
And with all of the editing turmoil that goes on, that's one of those things where you look at it and you're like, you spent that much time on it and you didn't take a second to look at this and go, maybe that one can come out.
You're
maybe
like, is this in poor taste, everyone? Are we in agreement, guys, as they look around the room?
We know what's going on. We see what's happening. Do we need that one shot? Could we take that out so that it doesn't feel like we're laughing at it?
And she even has, like, Maid Marian has this incredibly powerful moment, and it's a heartbreaking moment with this line where she says, you may take this body, but it will not be me. you're like, it's gut wrenching, and then it's followed up with a jokey gag, and you're like, God dang it.
Yeah.
But in the TV version, which was the first version I saw and the only version I saw for a very long time, that was the one shot that was cut from that scene. And so when I saw it on Blu-ray years later, I was like, what the hell was that?
Well, it's really a true testament to the fact that ultimately it's a very bizarre but very true thing that is, we go back and forth between macro and micro editing, and you have to have the awareness of, I mean, editing, directing, all of this stuff is a lot like painting, and there's a reason the painters walk away from what they're doing and get distance from it so that they can say, oh no, the red should go over there, or this, okay, I see why this isn't quite working. I'm standing too close to it. That that gag that we're all talking about, that's a bunch of people spending 12-hour days, and they're like, okay, yeah, just keep going, keep going. Yeah, we got that. They needed somebody
Like, yeah,
else to
we
come
shot
in
this
and
on
sit down.
Thursday. Make sure you get this in there. Yeah.
Yeah, they needed somebody else sitting in there going, pull that one. Just that one. And that's what's so frustrating about it. But the thing is, I think it really tells a lot about the ending itself is a real mess. There's so much happening, and everybody loves to drag Lucas about Phantom Menace for everything. But at the very least, with the four things going on
Yeah, the
in
four
that
endings.
ending,
Yeah.
you know everything that's going on, you know where everybody is, you know what's going on, you know why it's happening. Whereas with this one, you're like, wait, if they can't get into the room, how'd she get out? And who's over there? And what, who's, what? What's happening there? Like, the ending is such a gosh darn mess that I remember all the way back in 91, I had a bunch of friends who liked the movie, and I was the only one sitting there. I was like, I don't know. That ending was kind of clumsy. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. And they're like, no, it was really great. I was like, okay, sure. And flash forward many years later, I was like, no, I was right.
And now you make podcasts
Yeah,
justifying
and now I'm
your
permanently
views.
right because it's recorded. There you go.
It's interesting that you bring that up, John, because when I saw this, I was a kid. I rewatched it all the time with my dad, and we watched it as a family. And I still remember, man. I like it was yesterday when it was announced that it was going to be on TV. We hooked up the VCR, and we're like, my dad's in the kitchen making popcorn, and my mom is screaming at him saying, it's starting, and he runs in with the popcorn is literally falling out of the bowl, and he hits record on the remote on a blank VHS tape. I'm sure I could still find that VHS tape today and find that start in the middle of the opening credits where you don't really miss anything. But I've seen this so many times, as a child and as a young person, but I really haven't seen that much as an adult. And when I watched it, I've been an editor for 20 years now, a video editor. And when I watched this, like, my wife said, like, hey, what do you think of it? What do you think of the movie? Since you haven't seen it for so long. And I was like, well, it's a great action piece. It's really thrilling, and like the production is really great with practical effects and everything. Horrible editing. And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, at the very beginning with Azim in the
Yep.
when they're in the prison, in the close-up shot, both of his hand, this may sound stupid, but both of his hands are tied up against the wall. And then in the medium shot, his hands are tied up in front of him so that Robin can cut him down.
Because that's the plot point, is he doesn't have a metal chain, which is why he's able to be freed.
And that's
They
why it's
forgot
such a
about that during
huge
the first scene.
mistake. It's a plot point. And so it doesn't just happen once, it happens 3 times. They go back and forth between him being chained up against the wall to him being chained in his hands. And then when they arrive home on England shores for the first time, in the behind, and when they're in the reverse, like the camera's behind the dinghy, Kevin Costner's not in the boat. He's not standing up. He's not in the boat. And then they go to the reversal. And he's standing up in the front. What the hell? And all throughout this movie, it's filled with stuff like that. And it's just insane.
Even speaking of Azim, like I can't remember exactly when it was, but maybe like 3/4 through, I was kind of like, where does Azim go? I just kind of realized I hadn't seen him on screen for quite a while. And it was like, not that he had to be like a main plot point, but you know, they built this huge camaraderie at the beginning, and then he kind of just vanishes until the last act. And I was like, oh, I wanted.
Well, he did have the scene in the middle where he helps deliver Fanny's baby.
I mean, he has scenes. I felt myself physically noticing that I was wondering where he was.
Well, he was really nursing that leg wound that he had.
Exactly.
He was really nursing it so that he could come in at the last second and throw his curved blade as hard as possible so that it would impale Mortiana.
Well,
and have her flying through the room.
What's really interesting is that the editor, Peter Boyle, he worked with Reynolds a lot. He worked with Reynolds previous to this on like Beast of War. He worked with him after this on Rapa Nui. He worked with him on Waterworld. He worked with Kevin Costner on The Postman. And he worked with Reynolds again in the 2000s on a movie we're not watching. But like, so obviously Boyle does something that the directors like.
This one, I don't blame Peter Boyle for two reasons. Being an editor for as long as I have been, I know what's an editing mistake and what's a production mistake. This very much felt like, oh my God, this is all you're giving me to work with? Like, really? Yeah. Like, you didn't shoot the medium
there is no
of Azim?
Good take with what he needs, and he cannot make it, and they don't have digital technology to, like, they would normally like CG out his hands and CG them in front. You could do it for like a couple $1,000 and boom, you're back in business. But they can't do that in 91.
This was very much a director and production mistake. I don't blame Peter Boyle at all. And also on top of that, this edit was taken away from him. So we have no idea what was him and what wasn't him.
That's an excellent point.
So, you know, I don't blame him at all.
Well, I want to ask you guys actually about the photography, because there were moments where I felt what was being done with the camera was really dynamic and fun. Right? There were some really crazy shots. There were like this felt like somebody getting in there and saying, you know what? They gave us a dump truck full of money. Let's really make this count, guys. We're going to have a grand time with this. And then there are other shots where it's like, okay, yeah, just turn on the camera. Okay, did we get it? Okay, we're done. It felt like an Ed Wood picture at certain points where it was like, okay, we got the shot. Let's keep moving. I don't know what's going on with that.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's Reynolds and Costner.
Yeah.
Costner did a lot of the second unit shooting. Like, he directed a lot of the second unit stuff. And so it was very much utilitarian. Let's get it done. Let's get it in the can. Let's keep going. Let's go. And that was Costner. And then the stuff where
let's go. I gotta go shoot JFK. So and we're burning daylight.
Yeah. Guys, Reynolds, I want to go to sleep. Yeah, let's just get this done.
Because I did
Reynolds
notice
trusted his DP.
There were some parts, like a lot of the duel, especially the end duel, like you can tell they're using really long lenses, like to get that sword coming out at you and to feel that closeness. But yeah, and then other times, I wouldn't go so far to say it's all over the map, but like there's also times when like the sheriff's going down into his area and there's like 2 torches lighting this whole room, and that is it. There is no key light anywhere. Key light? What's a key light? But then they get down to the dungeon set with the planks and the rats and the, fog. And it's the most well-lit, even room of the entire castle. And it's like, okay, I guess we got the magic of, magic light in here. But yeah, but there's awesome shots. The the half circle of white robed bad guys taking on Loxley with the torches. Like that's pretty. Like there's some striking shots in this for sure.
There's one striking shot. I'm glad that you said that. That is absolutely amazing and really cool, but at the same time makes me laugh out loud every single time I see it.
So
It's
when they
when
go over the
everyone
wall,
thinks, huh?
oh, okay. Oh, I thought you meant when they catapult over the wall because like
No,
it's a
that's just
Looney
fun.
Tunes movie.
It's when everybody thinks that Robin's dead, and like it's after the Sherwood fight, and then it's at night, and then all of a sudden we see his silhouette walking through the forest, and there's this
Silhouette by
giant
the moon.
gigawatt light
Something's
behind
lighting
him.
him. Hit the brightest moon I've ever seen.
It is like the largest floodlight you've ever seen that they used to advertise motion pictures in the 1930s. Like the bat signal is behind him. That's how much is lighting the forest. And you know on set they're like, oh god, this is so freaking cool. But there's no motivation
some
behind the
little
light.
PA is like, but where's the light coming from? Shush! Be quiet, Timmy. Go get us some coffee.
You out now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm yes. It's but also in terms of the DP, like it would be great to say, well, he was the cinematographer on Full Metal Jacket, and it's like, but we've talked about Kubrick, and it's like, well, that
Mhm.
just means that you showed up on set because Kubrick just wanted to. It's like, here's your paycheck, just go sit over there.
You maybe
I know what
have
I
to
want.
hit speed, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know if that was in your list of duties.
But in his future was the exciting entry into film called Highlander Endgame. So if you've ever seen Highlander Endgame, there you go. That's
I have seen that. Now, okay, with Reynolds, often we talk about, this is our first Reynolds film that we are reviewing. And so we can't really say, where do you see Reynolds and everything like that. But I've seen Waterworld. I've seen it a lot. I like it. I've seen all the versions. I've seen the TV version. I've seen the theatrical. I've seen the Ulysses cut and everything like that. I can't remember. John, can you look up who shot that?
Who shot Waterworld?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
of course.
There's when I see Prince of Thieves and have seen, Waterworld a lot and seen it recently, you can really tell, like, oh, okay, this was the same director. Like you really feel it. Yes, John.
He shot. He is known for, according to Wikipedia, The Road Warrior, Dances with Wolves, Dead Calm, which is a delightful little horror movie. That's great.
I was getting kind of Road Warrior vibes.
And he was also apparently director of photography on Apocalypto,
So
which is an underrated Mel Gibson movie.
That is underrated. Now, okay, so it's not the same person who did Prince of Thieves.
No, it is not.
Okay, that's really interesting, and that is really cool to know because our touch point for this is Nolan with
Wally Pfister and Hoyt van Hoytma.
Thank you very much. I can never remember those things. When Hoyt first did a Nolan film, we're like, okay, what's it going to look like? Is it going to be crazy different? And then we see it, and you're like, oh, it's just a Nolan film.
Yeah,
and with this one, that's kind of how I felt. Like when I saw Prince of Thieves, and then when I saw Waterworld, I was like, oh, this is a Reynolds film. Cool. It might not matter who the DP is. That is an over, simplification. But you guys know what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has a vision. He knows what he wants to put on screen.
The director knows what he wants. The DP knows how to give him what he wants, and maybe there's a little give and take on certain shots where he says, "I think this would look better," and the director will listen.
Now, before we, as we're rounding third, we would be remiss if we did not talk about Kamen's score.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Holy crap!
Oh man, this score.
This could be the best thing about the movie.
It is. I'll say it without
hesitation. It's the most consistently good thing about the movie. I'll say that for sure.
I think
even better way to put it, Darren.
That's
even
the best
better way to put it.
It's the most consistently good thing about this movie is Kamen's score. I don't think there's much more to say.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly,
it's really good. It's and it's got motifs. I love the Marion motif, the love motif.
Yep.
You know me and motifs. If I don't have motifs, I'm like, what score? I don't even remember. Movie's over, credits rolled.
That's not even an exaggeration, folks. He will not remember it if there's not a motif.
But
Mhm.
yeah, and again, what can we say about you have for the opening credits, but then they bring it back, in the ending and the climatic moments. And yeah, it's like you hear it and this is Robin Hood. Like it's very iconic.
All right.
And
Well,
Kamen, let's just give him credit because everybody knows Bryan Adams did Everything I Do It for You. But Kamen was the composer on that.
right.
And it's like the funniest thing is as I was out buying a lottery ticket, getting ready to record this show and hopefully win the lottery and then tell you all what I really think of you. The Everything I Do It for You came over the loudspeaker while
No.
it was the weirdest thing. I was like, Christopher Nolan, I was going to speed dial Christopher Nolan and be like, am I being inceptioned right now? Because this is not right. But yeah, like you can't escape the song. It's everywhere. It's
That's
everywhere.
insane. Like,
Yeah.
that just happened to you.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is crazy town.
Blew my mind. Maybe it's a sign I'll win the lottery. Who knows?
Hey.
Hey, good.
There's one little bit of trivia that I want to give before we give our ratings. And this is going to be a hard film to rate. This is going to be a really hard film to rate. The original Marion for this was Robin Wright.
Oof.
And she was in pre-production. She was cast. She was in pre-production. She was in rehearsals. She was going to show up to film. And then I think maybe less than 2 weeks before the first day of filming, she's like, holy crap, I'm pregnant. Like, I can't do this film. And like, God dang it, what are we going to do? And so then they get Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio.
And
So this would have been like right after The Princess Bride, like riding that Princess Bride hype,
Yep. I think there would have been nice chemistry between Costner and Wright. Didn't they do a movie together? Like Message in a Bottle or something? Wasn't that them?
Oh, how am I supposed to know?
I don't know, something like that. I think the chemistry would have been good. I like Mary Elizabeth in this movie. I think she does a good job.
I would have said it the same way, Tristan. I'm sorry, I love her, but I cannot.
But
process
Robin
her
Wright,
name.
you know me, guys. Oh my God, I love me some Robin Wright. So I wish there was like an alternate reality version where I could have seen Robin Wright in this movie.
I think that you're probably right because there isn't a lot of chemistry between Costner and Mastrantonio. And I think probably that's just a function of the fact that he was in rehearsals with Robin Wright. And then all of a sudden a new actress comes on and it's like,
true.
What do I do here? It can be tough to find that chemistry, especially if you found it with somebody before. I mean, there's a reason that casting is so important. There's a reason you have a casting credit. It's because somebody picked someone very specifically. Sometimes it works out okay, like Michael Keaton and Kim Basinger in 1989's Batman. But sometimes you don't have the spark, like in 1991's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
And that's why you do a literal chemistry test where you do on-camera tests to see how they do on camera. And I was right. Kevin Costner and Robin Wright did a movie together called Message in a Bottle in 1999.
Well, there you go.
It was all romance and stuff. Okay. Darren, aka Dr. Sci-Fi.
Why do I gotta go first?
What are you rating this film? And you are famous for not giving half stars.
No, I have never given a half star.
So this is going to be hard because aspects of this film are 4 stars, but yet other aspects aren't. So you want to give it a 3.5, but you can't.
See, I say it's a little easier because I would go the other way, where I'd say some aspects like score, some of the like the some of the great characters, like. I mean, again, I love me some Little John, the Friar. Like they are just Alan Rickman. They are some of the roles in this. They become like that role. Like that is the role that any future Robin Hood is judged against for a while. So for me, it was more like some parts of this are a 5, but some parts are a 4. So that's where I'm teetering between. because it's also Robin Hood. It's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. It's, you know, a blockbuster of a movie, a 90s staple, a cultural touchstone. These are all things we've said. But I can't give it a 5. It does have issues, you know, besides the continuity, besides some of the other parts. Um, I'm curious, Tristan, you know, if you have a moment in your wrap up on just what you feel like the overall pace. I know you talked about the editing, but pace wise, because they do spend a good chunk of like establishing Robin. Like you know, if you think about when we actually get to like the Little John meeting the Merry Men, it's a good chunk into the movie. So, but overall, I have to give this a 4. It's a great movie. It's very rewatchable. Alan Rickman is just proving why he is Alan Rickman and deserves all the roles, and he is a great bad guy. But like, I will stand by, this does feel like a young Alan Rickman who has it kind of matured in what he can. I won't go that far, but I'd say that he is one of the best things about this movie. And I'm glad that this launched so many careers, that it pushed so many things. And Costner didn't even need it. He was already on a rocket ship to Mars. But so I'm giving Robin Hood, should have just been Robin Hood, a 4.
John.
Hurts my heart to come to this point, because this is a movie that I was lukewarm on back in 91, as much of a fun memory as it is that I have tied to it. And it is a movie that I want to love. Like, there are so many things about it. Like, I think the music is a 5. I think that the vibe of like early 90s, late 80s, like mega blockbuster vibe, I'm like, yeah, this is right there. I think that Morgan Freeman as Azim is fun and funny. And I think he's very representative of sort of like a tonal shift of what's happening in Hollywood in terms of like understanding, you know, the global perspective of certain things and stuff like that. I think that's neat. I think that Alan Rickman's having a good time, and I'm having a good time when he's having a good time, with the exception of One Shot. And I think that the problem is that the ultimate issue is the script, and that the star of the film doesn't really seem to care as much about this as he does about his other stuff. It's a guy, like we said, it's a guy weighted down by all the responsibilities he has on set. So I want to really like this movie, but I don't. And I never have. But I don't hate this movie. So because I do give half stars.
I'm on pins and needles. My goodness.
I've had so much fun talking about it. I'm giving it a 2.5.
Oh, what? Come on.
Yep.
Come on. 2.5. 2.5.
I did not stutter. You heard me.
What?
2.5.
What?
What?
2.5.
What did you rate Aquaman?
Aquaman?
Yeah.
Wait, the one with Jason Momoa?
Yes.
That was a 1 on a good day. It's a half star. That movie sucked. Like, I heard people applauding in that theater, and the guy that was with me laughed because he saw my face when people started applauding at the end of Jason Momoa's Aquaman. And he like started laughing because I had this look on my face like, what is wrong with all of you? Like, I was like Elaine at the end of English Patient. It was like, no, you shut up. Like, oh, so don't bring Aquaman at me.
For some reason, I thought you gave it a 2. I can't remember.
Good God.
For some reason, I thought you gave it a 2.
Well, if I did, I have to go edit that right now because I hated that movie.
No, the movie is hot garbage. I am sad that I brought. I'm sorry I brought
generous.
it up.
That's
sorry I brought it up.
I'll watch Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves 1,000 times before I'll watch Aquaman again.
Okay, 2.5. Whew. Okay, so we're gonna have some wildly different ratings here.
I thought you were going to say we have some post-podcast discussion as we hash this out amongst our members.
Oh, yeah. Officially on Letterboxd, I gave it Aquaman a 1, but probably because I enjoyed how much I hated it. So there you go.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna I'm gonna search her Letterboxd, and I'm gonna find some other 2.5-star films, and I'm gonna go, really? You think this
Bring
was the
it.
same quality as Robin Hood,
Bring
Prince of
it.
Thieves?
Bring it.
So, Darren, you talked about pacing a little bit, and in terms of the theatrical cut, the pacing, I think, was very good. I think this was a well-paced movie, and I enjoyed seeing Robin of Locksley before he became Robin Hood. I like seeing him during the Crusades and trying to get home. And this was miles better than Ridley Scott and Russell Crowe's Robin Hood, because he didn't become Robin Hood.
We're not even going
and
to
that
talk about that movie. We're not even. It doesn't even
oh, good lord.
exist.
Well, I'm just saying that, like, he didn't even become Robin Hood until 5 seconds before the end credits. It was like
What?
a
That's
yeah,
so stupid.
it was so freaking stupid. It
Oh
was
my
like
gosh.
it was like a mirror universe version of Casino Royale, where, like, you hear the Bond theme at the end of Casino Royale. We were like, oh yeah, he's become Bond. This is cool. It was the opposite of that. Like, they were trying to do that, but it was the opposite of it. This movie, it's later in the film when he becomes Robin of the Hood. But I think it worked, and
At
going
the end,
back
he
and
becomes
forth.
the Prince of Thieves. That's where it drops at the end.
There you go.
It put in the title. I had to
And so, to answer your question, like, I think the theatrical version is paced very well. Could it have been even tighter? Yes, but in comparison to the extended edition and what Kevin Reynolds wanted to do, it was very tight. It was very, very well paced. And so, like we all said, like, the music is great. The micro editing is not so good. Kevin Costner didn't show up. Morgan Freeman, Alan Rickman, Brian Blessed, Michael McShane, Michael Wincott, Nick Brimble, all really fun. Sue Durrett as Fanny. I mean, there's so many lines from this movie that I still use in my daily vernacular. Like, when Fanny is, on the ledge and she's like, "Hello, my lover." Like, I will answer the phone that way when my wife calls, and sometimes I forget that it's from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Like, there's so much of this movie. We haven't even talked about Christian Slater, but regardless,
There's no
this
need
film,
to.
I want to love this film, and I do love this film, but objectively, there's so many flaws, and so I give it a loving 3.5. That's what I give this film.
Oh, you're coming after me for 2.5. You give it a 3.5. Come on now.
Yeah, that 1 star is a big difference.
There's a bit of a
big
difference between those two.
Just for context, just so everybody knows, because I love Star Trek V. I watch Star Trek V. Everybody knows the story of me and Star Trek V. And if you don't, you should. Star Trek V is a movie I give 2.5 stars because I see what they're going for, but I just can't get past where they fail.
You give them bad marks because they should have done better.
Yeah. And that's basically where Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is.
We are at 1 hour and 10 minutes. I had no idea we were going to go this long with Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves in 1991, directed by Kevin Reynolds, starring Kevin Costner. So, next week, I'm super excited because this is not just a Universal theme park attraction. This is a movie that was once labeled the biggest box office bomb of all time. And this is not how things were the bomb in the 90s, where it was good. This was the bomb as in bad. And that is Waterworld, again starring Kevin Costner. And as Darren mentioned at the top of the show, we are watching the Ulysses cut. So if you guys can actually get a hold of the Ulysses cut, you should. It was released by Arrow Video. It was a fan cut that gained so much popularity that the production company was like, you know what? This is so cool. Let's make it official. And they did. And that is an awesome story in and of itself, which we will talk about next week here on Houselights.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.